Justin here with Keystone Mountain Outdoors. Today what we're talking about is my Stihl MS261 chainsaw. This is Stihl's Pro Saw, that's 50 cc's basically. They offer this M-tronic or non. The M-tronic one's called the 260cm. You'll see it just has a C on the side. I initially did buy the CM version of this saw, but I wasn't too happy with it, and after just using it a day, I took it back to my dealer, and my dealer allowed me to swap it out for the non-M-tronics one, and I'm very happy I did. I really am not a huge fan of the M-tronics for my personal uses and needs. The M-tronics doesn't benefit me too much. I'd rather have the non-M-tronic one that I can work on myself and don't have to worry about it or anything like that. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go over to the tabletop. That way I don't have to hold this thing up the whole time, and we'll kind of talk about my thoughts and opinions on this saw. Alright guys, what I have on the table is the 261. Again, this is the non-M-tronic, so you'll notice there's no C there. The C basically designates that it's an M-tronic one. Again, I had the M-tronic one, wasn't a big fan of it. Swapped it out for this one, and I've had this one for coming up on a year now. I've ran this with a 16, an 18, and a 20-inch bar. I really do like it with the 18. However, the 20-inch bar fits my needs better. This is kind of my main firewood saw, and whenever I go cutting firewood, the 20-inch bar rips through 95% of what I cut through without having to flip-flop. An 18-inch bar, I find that a lot of times I have to flip-flop back and forth between the sides of the log. So I do prefer it with the 20-inch bar, even though it runs better with the 18. So far, I've put about 20 or so tanks of gas through this thing, so I don't even know if it's completely broken yet, but the thing does run really good. I do plan on eventually porting my muffler, having it ported. That'll open these saws up even more, but at this particular moment in time, I haven't done anything like that. This is completely stock. Nothing really has been done to it. So yeah, this saw compares pretty well to like a 271, 291 if you're familiar with those saws. A lot of people think that because the number's higher, those are more powerful saws, but the reality is that they actually aren't. This is 3 kilowatts of power, whereas those are 2.6 and 2.8 respectively. 271's 2.6, 291's 2.8. This is about 1.5 pounds lighter than both of those saws. All three saws that I brought up, 261, 271, 291, they're all 50 cc's, 50.2 cc's to be exact. So yeah, this is the pro version of the saw. So whereas on the 271 and 291, a lot of the parts are made out of plastic, this one, a lot of the parts are made out of metal. Mainly your side cover, your crankcase, all that stuff. It's made out of magnesium. So the saw is more robust, it's built better, and it's also about 1.5 pounds lighter and also a little bit stronger than those saws. Some other cool features about the 261, it does have a decompression valve, so you basically push this in, it makes it easier to pull start it. Personally, I don't find that you really need a decompression valve on a 50 cc saw, but it's a nice addition. It doesn't really hurt anything. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it, but if you do want to use it, it does make it kind of nice. Another cool thing about this one is that it has captive bar nuts. So your dust cover here, your side cover here is made out of metal again, whereas on the 271, 291, this would be made out of plastic. The bar nuts here, they're captive, so you don't have to worry about losing them. I can't tell you how many times I've lost a bar nut out in the woods. It sucks. You always should carry extras with you, but with this one, you don't have to carry extras with you because you don't have to worry about losing them. So really nice feature there. Another cool thing, well, before I get to that, here's where you adjust the carb, high, low, idle. I haven't really played with the carb yet because This saw hasn't really needed it much for my particular uses. You can adjust the oiler here. There's a screw down in there, and you can turn it quarter turn. It will turn it to max oil. So yeah, cool features there. So what are my kind of thoughts on this saw? I think that the 261 is an excellent saw. It really does make a really great firewood saw. I mean, it's tough to beat this thing. It works so good, and it's just so reliable. I'll pop this cover off and continue talking for you guys. So it has quick turn captive screws to basically to take off the top cover, and you can see under here. I do take care of my stuff, so this thing is pretty clean. Putting the cover back on is as easy as getting it lined up with the decompression valve and just rotating these. A quarter turn. That's pretty much about it. It has the flippy caps for the gas and oil. I'm really a big fan of that. You don't need a tool or a scrunch to take your cap off to fill it up with oil or fill it up with bar oil. Works really good there. Everything about this saw is good. 4-position selector, full choke, half choke, on and off. Some people will complain the Stihls, in order to shut them off, you have to push them up, which is kind of counterintuitive. I actually like it because you don't accidentally shut the chainsaw off. All right, guys, so we're going to get to what most of you guys have probably been waiting for. Why is the Stihl 261 the best firewood chainsaw out there? Well, let me kind of preface this. The best firewood chainsaw out there is probably either A, the one you have, or B, the one that you could get parts and service for. I'm really a big fan of Stihl chainsaws in general because there seem to be a lot of dealers. No matter what part of the country you're in, there is a shit ton of Stihl dealers. In my specific area, outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I have a Stihl dealer that's like 10 minutes from my house and probably within a 30-minute range or so from my house, give or take. There's probably 4 or 5 different Stihl dealers. Husqvarna makes really good chainsaws. I'm really a big fan of Domar/Makita saws, and I'm really somewhat of a fan of Johnson saws. But the dealers are a little bit further away. I think my closest Husqvarna dealer's like 40 minutes away or so. Same thing with Dolmar. And I don't even know where there's a Johnson dealer around here. So Stihl really has kind of capitalized on the fact that they have so many dealers around, parts, accessories, new chains, new bars, stuff like that. They're readily available depending on where you're at in the country. They're usually pretty close to you. So in getting into the 261 aspect of it, I really think that the 261 is the best firewood saw out there because it fits that perfect niche for a firewood saw. I really do like the bigger saws, 362, 40, 440, 461. Those are really great saws, but I don't want to lug around a 15, 16 pound chainsaw all day long for cutting firewood. The 261 does, I'd say, 85, 90% of all the firewood cutting I need without hesitation, without problem. Usually I don't get into those bigger woods anyways, but if you do, it is nice to have a bigger saw to complement it. But as a primary firewood saw, I really think a good 50cc saw, preferably a pro saw, I really like the 261, is an excellent saw to be your main firewood saw. And then complement it with one of those bigger saws maybe. So that way, if you need to get into a bigger tree, or if you need to get yourself out of a pinch, you have a second saw. It's always a good idea to carry a second saw, even if it's a smaller saw, or a 271 or a 291 or whatever. It's always good to have a second saw to bail yourself out of pinch points or something like that. Try not to get yourself in pinch points, but you never know what happens. So yeah, guys, 261 is an excellent saw. If you guys are in the market for it and you can spare the $600 or so, I really think it's worth it. As long as you take care of it, as long as you maintain it, as long as you run good fuel in it, it'll last you a really, really long time. And the cost difference between the pro saw and the homeowner saw can be disgusting to some people, but over the course of a lifetime, again, as long as you take care of it, that cost difference doesn't amount to much. It's pennies a day, if that, maybe fractions of a penny a day, depending on how long you live, so, and how long you enjoy it. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you guys have any questions, post them down below. If you want to tell me your experience with the 261 or any Stihl chainsaw or any chainsaw in general, or let me know what your favorite is, definitely let us know down in the comment section below. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this style of content, give us a thumbs up. I'm primarily a gun channel, so we're trying some different stuff here. If you guys enjoy this, let us know and we'll continue to make them. Thanks. God bless.